Welcome to Manager Tools. Today's cast, performance reviews are not feedback, part 1. The questions this cast answers are performance reviews part of feedback systems? How can I deliver effective performance reviews? And what is the relationship between performance reviews and feedback? If you want answers to these questions and more, keep listening.
Hey folks, Mark here. This Manager Tools cast is coming out on May 30th, Monday, Memorial Day. And because 4 of us here at MT, including Mike and I, and Maggie and Paul, are veterans, and Elizabeth is the daughter of a veteran, one of Mike and I's classmates, there'll be no ads in this podcast. I hope that when you listen, you appreciate the sacrifices of the veterans who have given their lives for your freedom. And not just in America, but all over the world. We are indebted every day to the freedoms that the vast majority of us live with, and it is good to be appreciative of the things others have given us.
So, Kate, we were reading recently a Wall Street Journal article that suggested annual reviews are a terrible way to evaluate employees.
Ouch.
Yeah. Now, the statement itself, the implication, is wrong on so many levels, and the article itself brings up feedback and check-ins. Check-ins being this confusing mishmash of ideas, which we'll explain. Now, while we don't normally comment on current issues, right, we like to have classic guidance that doesn't change with the current themes. Arguments like this have been made multiple times against reviews in the past quarter century, and they're worthy of debunking.
Yeah, so the article's timely, but the guidance we have shared with y'all is timeless, and we're going to refer back to it because this timely article has come out as a way to help us highlight that, in fact, there are timeless things about reviews, and it's important to be able to discern truth and fiction. So
yes, that's exactly it.
We're going to take the approach today. We're going to give you an overview of the article. We're going to talk about feedback versus performance reviews, and then weekly check-ins versus one-on-ones, just so y'all have a sense of what it is that is applicable to your managerial behaviors, your managerial life, and how what's in this article may not be applicable. And I think we're going to clarify. What we're doing is we're going to clarify what we would support about this. So the title.
Let's start.
Yeah. So we'll start at the beginning. The title of the Wall Street article, which came out on April 30th, this is 2022, is Annual Reviews Are a Terrible Way to Evaluate Employees. It's by Marcus Buckingham.
Sounds like clickbait.
Yeah. Well, that title is.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
It is. Yeah. Marcus Buckingham is a highly regarded management consultant, and he's most well known for his book, First Break All the Rules, a bestseller that we have praised highly. This article, despite the fact that we absolutely respect Mr. Buckingham, is off base and misleading. And we're going to take you through it so you know what we know, and then we'll take it apart and analyze it. It's going to be so fun.
It is going to be fun. All right. So the article itself starts with a story of a technical support worker, Gina. Remember Gina's name. That name will be carried throughout the remainder of this explanation. Okay, so Gina. She's described as a good performer who, unfortunately, after an average review, is left so demoralized that she wants to quit.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Now, this isn't unusual. Unfortunately, as the article says, 86% of employees don't think their annual review is accurate. In a sample of 1,500 workers, 22% reported they'd even burst into tears during their review.
And, okay, I gotta say, those are two very distinctly different things. Thinking your review is not accurate and bursting into tears.
Oh, yeah.
So putting those things together in the article it's suggestive of something that is honestly, again, not again, we haven't said this yet. I've been thinking it. So in my mind, it's again. It's suggestive of their point, which is, oh, it's the fault of the review. When in fact, those two statements are not necessarily linked and are not necessarily supportive of, the case they want to make, which is they're ineffective. All of these things can be true at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. All of these things can be true.
And after that, right, so the article makes its major point, which is there are 3 broad buckets of how performance review fail. And those buckets are too infrequent, dehumanizing, and irrelevant to real world performance. I gotta say, I'm chapped. I was chapped when I read the article. I'm feeling it all over again. So those are the 3 broad buckets.
Yes.
Too infrequent, dehumanizing, and irrelevant to real world performance.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You want to start with frequency?
Let's start with frequency.
Okay.
So for the too infrequent argument, the article asserts goals set at the beginning of the year are irrelevant by the 3rd week of the year.
If you guys could see my face, I'm so chapped.
We got to record one of these and put it on YouTube. We are going to do that. Okay. Further, it cites a survey saying that fewer than 4% of people go back to check their goals even once during the year.
Okay.
And Mr. Buckingham says that we need managers to talk about our work instead of at the end of the year, during the flow of our work.
I agree with that statement.
Yeah. It suggests that they are so poorly timed because you and your manager will not be able to remember what you've actually been doing during the year at the end of the year.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. All right. Sorry. So we're not there yet. We're not at the goodness gracious part yet. Okay. So that's regarding frequency. Regarding
Yes.
reviews being dehumanizing. Second bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Buckingham recurs to Gina's story. She was highly regarded and was hoping for a 4% raise. Her company uses a 7-point scale.
Mm-hmm.
Only a very few people get 1s or 2s.
1s or 2s are the high end of the scale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
If you got a 6 or 7, you were at risk of being fired.
Okay.
So her 3 put her solidly in the upper medium range of performance. When she pushed back, she was told that they had wanted to give her a 2, but we've run out of 2s. Perhaps you can just think of yourself as a 2. Oh my Lord. As it turned out, for Gina, only 2s got 4% raises. And Gina didn't want to think of herself as a 2. She wanted to talk with her about her skills, performance, hopes for tomorrow, her dreams for a fulfilling career.
Yes.
Okay.
She wanted to be a 2. She's not a 2. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm
Okay,
going to
yeah,
hold
just-
my consternation.
Bite your tongue. Okay. The last one first. The last one. Regarding relevancy. The article talks about how important it is for employees to do what they love. It mentions a statistic that the major accounting firm determined that its managers had spent 2 million hours a year on reviews. Then it asserts that reviews don't get into the unique loves, loathings, passions, and strengths of each worker.
That is some absolutely exaggerative language. I am sorry. Loves, loathings. Loathings and passions? At work? I would suggest the majority of my work does not have a lot to do with loathings. Again, calm down, Kate. At this point, Mr. Buckingham moves towards making suggestions about what to do, which makes sense. We like suggestions about what to do.
Yeah.
He
Recommendations.
starts by saying that reviews should be dead, a relic of MBOs, KRAs, and OKRs, and all those falsely precise acronyms, that they are among the reasons so many companies can't keep their talent.
Mm-hmm.
And he recommends
Mm-hmm.
split the annual review in 2. performance measurement and performance development. For the performance measurement part, he recommends drop the rating and just go straight to compensation.
Hmm. For the other side, then, the
Yeah.
performance development side, which he suggests is like parenting.
Oh my gosh.
I know that is an analogy that we do not care to use and is slightly insulting, but
Your direction not
Regardless.
children.
they're not. But okay, regarding performance development, ask every manager to check in with each team member for 15 minutes every single week. Ask just a couple of questions. Those questions are, what did you love doing this last week? And what did you loathe? Also, what are your priorities this week? And how can I help?
There are people listening who just heard that question. What did you love doing last week and what did you loathe? And are thinking,
Mhm.
I didn't bring my feelings to work.
Right. And okay, so the check-ins themselves, he goes a step further in making the recommendation of those two questions to ask, and says these check-ins aren't for delivering feedback. Workers want attention, not feedback.
Mm.
Finally, he points out that some organizations, we highlight nurse managers in hospitals, which we've done multiple times over the years. I mean, this is a classic, well-known example
Well, and
of
he
span of
highlights
control.
them, right? Like he
Yes.
highlights them and we have as well.
Exactly. In that nurse managers in hospitals, for example, have at times as many as 60 directs. It's a span of control issue that needs to be fixed because if you have 60 directs, you can't do weekly check-ins, even if they're only a 15-minute check-in, as is suggested here.
And okay, he's pointing that out that there's some people have span of control problems. Yeah, dude,
Yes.
we know. Yeah. Not you, dude, obviously. Him, dude.
Him do.
That's a good one, huh?
That's a good
Okay.
one. I like it. Okay. So now that we've given a synopsis of the article itself, let's move into how this article does not pertain to our organizational structures, the purpose of performance reviews, check-ins, and why you should pay no mind to its recommendations.
Yeah, normally we wouldn't comment on an article with which we disagree.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it's fun for us because we get real hopped up. But listen, we don't need to give those articles any more attention.
No.
Maybe not a lot of people read Wall Street Journal articles about management. And now our audience will hear about it. So we've just increased that,
Yeah.
the scope at which this is
Mm-hmm.
being.
Increased his reach.
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, if we, I don't know, it's just happening, I guess, that we are commenting on it here.
Mhm.
Most management guidance, though, is talking about fads. It's talking about things that come and go, like empowerment and engagement. And those things, again, are trends. They go up, they go down,
Yes.
they come back around. It's like right now we're seeing early aught fashion trends, which, man, I wasn't cool then, and I'm not cool enough to wear it now, which is great. So
Classic.
we don't really bring a lot of this stuff up because our competitors are going after that business
Yeah.
of trends and things like that go up and down, whereas we are focused on true stand the test of time
Mm-hmm.
management, science management guidance, and our avoidance of, for example, engagement as a managerial topic is a really good example of this.
Mm-hmm.
Most managers probably think of engagement as a settled science. You hear about it all the time. It's in the journal, obviously. It's in HBR regularly, frequently, and honestly to the point where if you were reading a lot of that stuff, you get sick of it.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, dude.
It's a bit much.
Yeah, we've been hearing a lot about it. And again, I'm not saying it's that all of the titles around it are clickbait. However, the proliferation, while it's popular, is to a certain extent about reach. It's interesting that social media uses engagement. And in fact, we're talking about
Right.
engagement. And so that's how they would measure it, right? They're going to increase reach and engagement by focusing on something that people are interested in right now. And your HR people talk about engagement. CEOs, other leaders routinely pepper their discussions with it. And if you ask any of the thought leaders who talk about it, they can't define it.
Mm-mm. It's
Which
completely
is-
made up.
Yeah, because it's boo hockey.
Yeah. It's not a measurable concept that you could do something about in the way it's suggested. Folks, the way engagement became popular was a consulting firm came up with a bunch of questions. Our recollection is there were 7 questions in the original survey, but the questions themselves were about how a person feels about their role. Now, one of the questions was whether or not they had a best friend at work.
I have a best friend at work. How would you
Yeah,
not have a
right.
best friend at work?
Yeah.
That's
I
like
think everybody
asking,
does.
do you have a best friend in your neighborhood?
Right.
Yeah. In my neighborhood, I go around and there's a person I know the best.
Right. They're the best one. And
Blah.
right. So this is the survey, and the results themselves were not compared to performance or results, or to go a step further, retention.
So it's basically like, do you like the people that you work with?
Yeah. Do you like a person that you work with?
Anyone. You could just have one friend. And guess what? That would make them your best friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you'll be surprised by this.
I bet I won't.
Yeah, exactly. A high score on this consulting firm test of their definition of engagement, that is, do you have a friend at work, meant that the employee was engaged.
That's so cute. I want to make a test like that.
All right. I would love that. It's very easy to get to pass.
I mean,
Engaged.
yeah.
Hmm. But now it's a word that's thrown out, ill-defined, and people are trying to achieve something that is impossible to achieve because they don't even know what the thing is.
Do you have to pick the right best friend to be properly engaged? You better
Ooh,
choose
good
wisely.
question.
Sarah?
Right. Can I only have one?
Yes. And it's me, obviously.
Okay, fine.
Golly.
Fine.
She was going to say Mark, you guys, but I'm not going to let her. Then I would cry. Okay. No one would say they don't want their employees to be
Mm-mm.
engaged. We're not going that.
No
That's
one
not-
would.
Yeah, that's not what we're
Everyone
saying.
wants employees engaged. Everyone wants that.
Yeah. And it's really, if we're being honest, it's kind of a belief system.
Yeah.
If my employees are more engaged, that means something. Maybe it means that they have a best friend. Except that there's no evidence that it leads to what we want. Y'all, if what we want is result in retention, why are we measuring something that doesn't have anything to do with it? It's
Right.
genuinely, okay, so you could ask a series of questions, any series of 7 questions at work. You can. And if you want to go around asking 7 questions, but you're not going to compare the results of the survey to results creation and retention in the organization, then you're basically just asking people questions at work, which is, that's for funsies. I don't,
Yeah.
okay, go around and ask a bunch of questions. Good times. What's more, it's the managerials that lead to employee engagement, but engagement efforts rarely address managerial behaviors. So
Exactly.
that's why we're making fun of them asking about your best friend at work. Is your best friend your boss? No. And you know what else? If you're not asking about managerial behaviors and how to create it, then the purpose of the survey doesn't change the way that managers do their jobs.
It doesn't at all. It's no helpful information. There's
Yeah.
nothing to be done.
So we just have all this data and are we just supposed to roll around in it? Like it's like,
oh my God. I
feel
love
like
that.
Scrooge
Yes.
McDuck, but there's no coins. It's just sand. I don't like it. Or paper. You're just rolling around in piles of questionnaires that have been filled out.
Gross.
Why is that valuable to me? It's not. Let's go back. Let's reel it in.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. So back to our refuting of the points in the article itself. Okay. So, folks, the fundamental problem with Mr. Buckingham's theory is that he conflates feedback and performance reviews. Folks, performance reviews are an organizational system to administer salary and provide succession planning details and information to the organization.
Mhm.
Feedback is a managerial behavior aimed at improving performance on a daily and weekly basis.
Different
Performance
things.
reviews aren't meant to give employees feedback.
No, they're too infrequent
Right.
to do that. And they're not too infrequent in terms of this proposed idea he's got. It's that they were never intended to be a
Yeah.
significant part of an employee's feedback. There's 2 mechanisms here. There's daily, weekly feedback, and then there are performance reviews, and they are separate systems.
Two things with different purposes.
In fact, yeah. Oh my gosh. And the organization created one of them.
Mm-hmm.
The performance review, right? The organization creates that. They're different at every organization. So if the organization creates it, the organization didn't create feedback. How could they be the same stinking thing? They're not.
They're not.
It's not that they're, it's like cart and horse here. And somehow he's got the cart and the horse next to each other. And he's proposing that we have a problem. When in fact, one was always supposed to be different than the other. They're not even the same animal.
They're not even the same animal. They're a different thing.
Man, we're too excited.
I know, right? Guys, what this is just, it's another case where so many consultants and theorists don't understand the nature of the organizational structure and the manager's role within that organizational structure. That's what this says. Managers represent the organization to the direct reports.
Mm-hmm.
That's how managers derive their role power. The organization, on the other hand, gives employees feedback regularly and hopefully frequently through the managers.
Right.
But organizations can't be responsible for giving systematically everyone feedback within them. What that means is performance reviews can't be a significant part of employee feedback because the organization can't communicate to employees about how to be better every single day. All they can do is measure their performance at the end of the day. They're different things. Different things.
Managers are an agent of the organization in delivering daily and weekly feedback. And the organization has a tool, which is a performance review. One's an agent and one is a performance review.
Right.
Agents engage in behavior that is feedback. The tool has an entirely different purpose.
Totally different thing. Completely different purpose. Things are all conflated and stuck into one thing. Now, guys, we will totally admit that Mr. Buckingham may be thinking, well, most managers don't give the feedback they're supposed to be giving.
He's right.
Yeah, he's right. He's not wrong. He's totally right.
He's smart.
It's why we have a podcast called, No Surprise Reviews. So many managers have been robbing so many directs of all of the feedback that they need, that they deserve to be better at their jobs, and using improperly performance reviews for years and years and years. And he knows, Mr. Buckingham knows, he's smart. He realizes, okay, no, they're using it wrong.
And it's a tool, again, which is different.
And suggesting that because managers are using wrong performance reviews and are not giving enough feedback, that performance reviews themselves are the problem rather than managerial behavior and managers meeting their own responsibility to give feedback, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's encouraging the opposite of holding managers accountable for giving feedback and recommending that the tool they have, performance reviews for giving feedback right now poorly, is taken away, while suggesting that managers not give feedback during his suggested weekly check-in.
I don't understand how both those things can be true in your mind.
Take away all the feedback. All of it. Don't give me an opportunity to do more of it.
Right. The entire premise is this isn't working, but the answer should not be to scrub the slate.
No.
It bothers me that there's little discussion of how and when managers should be giving feedback. The article says that feedback isn't what employees want.
Exactly.
And okay, first of all, there's not only no evidence of this, there's ample evidence of the opposite.
Right?
Directs at all levels, and especially at entry levels, routinely ask for more feedback. And honestly, there's something else here, and this is a tangent, y'all, to some extent, although it's applicable. I don't know that I am overly concerned about what employees want. I mean, I care that they want certain things. And listen, if what I want to do is get up and go to a sailboat in the Virgin Islands.
Mm-hmm.
And since that's, okay.
We don't pay you to do what you want, Kate. Pay you to do the job.
Exactly. So I'm not really super concerned about if that's what they want.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But they do want it.
I know. That's
the even bigger problem.
That's it. It's like, yo, dude, maybe I don't care, but except in this case, not only is it helpful, and they do want it. It's
And
both.
they do want it. Every time we've ever asked managers, professionals, executives, individual contributors, anyone in our conferences, anytime we've ever said to the group, if your manager could give you more feedback in a kind and respectful way, would you want to hear on a daily basis the things that you could do that you're doing well, that you could do differently, the things you could do to better your performance? Everyone says yes, every time. Yes, I want more feedback.
Yeah. 90% is my average on that.
Yeah.
We have people raise their hands every single week. Y'all, I'm at 150 new managers this week. And 90% of them said, yeah, provided it was polite, professional, and quick, I'd love to know what I'm doing right and what I could improve upon.
Yeah.
Don't come around here and tell us that you think that that's not true, because Sarah and I stand in front of groups every single week.
Yeah.
And Andrew too, although he's just not here. 90% of the people in the room say, yeah. And it makes total sense. We know, people know that their salaries and benefits and bonuses are tied to their performance. Why? On what? I was about to say on what planet? But y'all, when in the world would you imagine that not knowing how you're doing would be a good thing, when in fact it depends whether or not you get your dental benefits if you're not doing well? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Gosh, there's so many problems here. And there's another fallacy in the background of the article's attack on performance reviews. The article finds fault with performance reviews per se, rather than addressing the inefficient and ineffective manager behaviors in preparing and delivering them.
Right. Oh, sure. It's the review's fault, not the people that are doing it.
Oh
Sounds
my
right.
gosh. And I got to say, there are a lot of people who abdicate their responsibility to this because it happens rarely.
Yes.
I've worked in an organization where people don't work very hard at performance reviews.
And we know, Kate, I mean, managers are not taught how to be managers. They're not. We know this.
Yep. We're doing it for y'all. You're welcome.
So managers don't know how to be a manager. They sometimes feel to managers, I've worked in those organizations as well, like it's a burden. Ugh, performance review process. This is the worst. Right? And they hesitate to do them, which means the managers do a poor job of it.
Oh, and they wait till the last minute. I mean, I got to say,
Totally.
my experience with it is that people know they have to do it. They wait till the last possible minute. I can't tell you how many times I have waited until like 3 or 4 hours before my review to see what the manager had contributed.
Mm-hmm.
And mine's due 2 weeks before theirs.
Yeah.
And so I submit mine, and then I spend the 2 weeks before the 2 weeks between, the time when I submit mine and the time I get mine from them. And I don't get mine from them until 4 hours before. I am panicking the whole time. And I have never in my career been on a team and not been the first or second performer on that team. So if I'm freaking out,
Right? Imagine everyone else.
imagine everyone else. And what's funny is, oh, we're not getting a lot done this week. You know why they're not getting a lot done this week? They're sitting around worrying about their performance reviews because their managers aren't doing it, because their managers don't know how to do it. They don't do it frequently enough.
Exactly.
And managers,
Christmas rule.
100%. And oddly, it's also at Christmas, right?
Mhm.
So rather than addressing the fact that managers aren't behaving well and effectively around this problem, the article is just
Mhm.
like going around talking about, oh, the whole problem is performance reviews. I'm sorry, the whole problem is not performance reviews. And we should mention, the article does talk about, the data says that managers spent 2 million hours preparing reviews annually. So it's not like it's
It's a compelling data point, right? I thought
Sure.
that was a compelling data point.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's almost like a red herring, though.
It is, though. It's a totally tainted data set in that, one, we don't know how many managers those 2 million hours annually are spread
Right?
over. Right. You got to think about the size of Deloitte.
Yeah.
Deloitte has 345,000 employees. So
Yeah.
probably 50,000 or so managers, which doing the math would work out to 40 hours a year per manager on the entire company's succession planning system.
That is so small as to be embarrassing.
That's perfectly reasonable. 40 hours spent on performance reviews per manager per year.
It's not even a week. Don't even try and tell me that you think a person who if I called somebody at Deloitte and said, hey, how many hours a week that you work, they only work 40 hours a week. No, there's no stinking way. So every single manager at the organization, 1 week.
When
And they have more
it's
than
the
one
entire
direct.
succession planning system. Exactly. It's the entire
Ooh.
succession planning system for that huge organization. And guys, we're not suggesting that reviews and annual reviews couldn't be less burdensome.
Yeah, totally.
Right. We've absolutely experienced. I mean, how many organizations, clients have we worked with? We had a client whose managers admitted nothing there happens in the month of January other than doing performance reviews.
Sure.
And having been there, we can totally believe that.
yeah, I do.
Yes, performance reviews are overly burdensome in some places.
Let's not say that that's too many hours.
Yeah, that's not too many hours. 40 hours per manager per year is not too many hours. Now,
It's not.
to go a step further, though, another complexity hidden within this data set is that Deloitte is a matrix. That's their
Oh.
organizational structure.
So that's cute then.
Right. Which, folks, if you don't know, matrices have an organizational structure of many consulting and accounting organizations.
Oh, I think you mean the other way around, right? Many consulting and accounting organizations have.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
They're the chosen structure of those.
They're the
places.
chosen structure.
Matrices.
Exactly. And matrix organizations have performance reviews whose processes are inherently more burdensome. Lots of you work in matrix organizations. You know how much more burdensome it is to do the whole managerial performance communication monitoring in a in an organization that is a matrix. Because project managers have to communicate frequently with the managers themselves, who have to write the review, and the project manager has their own team of
Mhm.
actual reports who they supervise as well. And those people do what? Work on other projects for other people. So those project managers need to gather data on the people that actually report to them, not on projects, but formally report to them. So guys, the data point, 2 million hours preparing reviews annually at Deloitte per year, super misleading.
Totally.
Seems compelling, much less compelling than you'd think. Thanks, everyone. That's all for this week. See you next week with a continuation of today's topic.